This is the AVQ Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit that's in every entrepreneur. Discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together for a new future for local small business.
Hey guys, this is Jason Rigby, AVQ Business Podcast. Super excited today. I've got an amazing guest, and you guys all know I have a heart for veterans. I have a heart for military families. We're going to get into that today. Not only that, we're going to get into some marketing tips. If you're a business owner and you're struggling with maybe some digital marketing going through COVID, we're going to also get into that. I want to thank my guest today, Erika Heeren. How are you today?
Pretty good. How about you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Where are you located out of?
Well, we are living the life of the military family right now. We're actually in the state of moving. We've been headquartered in Idaho for about 7 years now, and the Army called, and we are now on our way out to New York. So we're opening a new studio out there.
Wow, that's crazy. All the way from, amazing. I came from Seattle area, and we used to go over to Idaho, and so Idaho is just so beautiful. And then you're going to New York.
Yep, all the way to Manhattan.
Oh, that's going to be a night and day difference. That'll be interesting. Did you enjoy Idaho or?
We did. We loved Idaho. I'm originally from Alaska, so we've literally gone from one end of the country to another.
and no one from Idaho likes you talking about them. They want to keep it just like it is. Yes.
They've got that anti-marketing campaign where it's like, don't come here. It's horrible. It's horrible. But no, it's been a great 7 years. It's been great for our business. We love the people out here. It's been excellent.
That's cool. Well, at least you're going into the big times now. So that should be interesting with this. But let's get into, you have Small Business Marketing Studio, and you can actually type that into Google, smallbusinessmarketingstudio.com, and go to their website. But you have something that's hugely unique and amazing. And it's like with military spouse employment and veteran employment. Can you kind of start from the beginning? Like, what gave you this idea? And then, specifically, how does the idea work?
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm a military spouse myself. I had almost a decade of marketing experience under my belt by the time my husband and I got married. My husband was active duty at the time. And like is the case with many military families, shortly after we got engaged, we had to move. So we moved from Alaska to Idaho, and I had to pack up everything that I had in my career and move it all to Idaho, to a brand new market where I didn't know anybody. I had no real connections, and I was starting completely from scratch after building a 10-year progressive career. It felt like I was starting back from square one. I might as well just have gotten out of high school for as prepared as I felt. So I ended up freelancing and doing some corporate marketing, and then I ended up opening a boutique marketing agency that was myself, a virtual assistant, and interns that came in throughout the year. But I quickly realized that I was just creating a job for myself that could travel with me wherever I went. My clients would go. And so I had secured a job for myself, but that's as far as it went. After talking to some of my VAs and some of the interns that came to me, which a lot of them were military spouses that were working remotely, I discovered quickly that I wasn't alone in the struggle of finding something sustainable and something rewarding in my career field when I moved to a new market. So we decided to take that small vision of just a job for me and create a bigger vision that would empower small businesses to help other military family members, whether it's transitioning veterans or active duty spouses, to find work in their field. So myself and my operations manager, well, she was my VA at the time, but she's now our operations manager. She's a Navy wife. We kind of put our heads together, and based on some anecdotal information that we had from spouses in our communities, we built this program. And it's got 4 different tiers. We have the Virtual Marketing Professional Program, which is for more experienced marketers. If you have like 10 years in the field and you're niched out in a specific area like e-commerce or IT or something like that, you would fit into that category. So we'd put you with businesses that are a little bit more established and need a little bit more of that deep dive experience level. Then we have our Virtual Marketing Assistant Program for marketers that have 1 to 5 years or 1 to 6 years in marketing, and they might need a little bit of support, but they're good with content development and some of the more basic aspects. We also have an internship program, a 3-month, 6-month, and 12-year term or 12-month term. 12-year term would be way too long for an internship, for transitioning veterans who want to get out of the service and apply their skills to an actual civilian career. When they're done, after working with another military member or military spouse with a client, we send them on their way. We either place them in a small business full-time, or they continue to work with us as a virtual marketing professional. And then we also have our scholarship program where every year 10% of our profits go to scholarships for certifications, college certificates, conferences, that sort of thing, for our staff members to continue to build their practice.
That's awesome. One of the things that your website talks about, and I encourage everybody to go to it, and they can click on the button, military spouse employment, under the smallbusinessmarketingstudio.com. But you have it that military spouse unemployment remains 6 times higher than the civilian unemployment rate. I never even thought about that. I was in the Marine Corps and married at the time, and then we just kind of lived very poorly. You know what I mean? Because I was moving so much and transferring and going on deployments and stuff like that. You never even think about that though. It's 6 times higher, and you need dual incomes nowadays.
You really do. And I think that that's an opportunity for the local business community to get more involved. We're seeing after veterans transition, there's usually a period of unemployment for them as well after they get out of the military. They have no idea how to transfer those skills into a civilian workspace. So they're starting from scratch. And then you have a military spouse who has either given up looking for a job because, let's face it, childcare is way too expensive to go work at Subway. Right. So you have military spouses with master's degrees or even doctorates. I've had a couple come by with law degrees that can't find a job. So their spouse gets out of the military finally, and now they can start working, but they're starting from scratch. The spouse is starting from scratch as well. You can't feed a family of 4 or 5 with, when you're both making $12 an hour. So I think to combat both current military family financial strain and the outgoing transitioning veterans that are struggling with homelessness, that are struggling with employment, if their spouse had the ability to be in that mid-level career range, it would be a lot more sustainable for them to get on their feet in a career that's going to support them in the long term.
Yeah, I agree 100%. One of the things that you talk about that just kind of blew me away is that you talk about 37% of military families reported feeling uncertain about their financial future. But you said this, 1 in 8 military families experience food insecurity. And that was in 2019. I was like, really, everything that we have going on, don't you think that it is our responsibility, to make sure that these families, and I know you're taking that responsibility, and I'm so happy that you have developed this program and you've worked in this program. I know it came out of, desire from you experiencing this and living this, I would imagine. But what is it that is, is it just the income alone, or is it the amount of them moving all the time, like you're moving from Idaho to New York? What creates this instability?
I think part of it is that we've seen studies before that military spouses are more likely to give up on looking for a job. Again, childcare was listed as the top reason for not working outside the home because it just didn't make sense financially. Another statistic that came out of that same study this year that named 1 in 8 military families are food insecure said that 50% of military spouses who decided to start their own business as an answer to bring in more money, 50% of them made less than $5,000 a year, and 75% made less than $15,000 a year.
Wow.
I don't know. What I don't know is if that number is skewed a little bit by multi-level marketing companies. But either way, if you're putting in that kind of effort that it takes to run your own business, whether in an MLM or on your own, that's insane to me to be only bringing in that amount of money. It's not a livable wage. And I think a lot of that is the average military family moves every 2 to 3 years. You're starting from scratch and you have no idea where you're going. What if you go, you're stationed in New York and things are going great, and then you end up going to Germany,
Right.
right? It's unless you can get a federal gig, it's almost impossible to find a sustainable job out there. And then you have a lot of military spouses or military stations that are out in the middle of nowhere where it's 2 hours to get to anything. I'm looking at you for Erwin. But, we see all of these different obstacles that come with military life. And I want to preface all of this by saying we understand that that's part of the job. We understood that when we married our spouses. At the same time, I think that there's more could be done in the civilian community to meet those military families part way.
Yeah. And I kind of want to get into if you don't mind, since it's a business podcast, I mostly have business owners. And so I want to emphasize this. You mentioned obstacles and you talk about this on your website, and one of the ones that really got me was the interview bias where they're asking, unlawful questions. And you said in really high military population places, what does your spouse do for a living? Are you affiliated with that active duty member? How long are you going to be at the station? Like they're almost trying to, limit and you talk about this employer risk, but they don't realize you don't know that for any employee that you have. So, and to have somebody that will work for you, that you're supporting a military family, even if it's 2 or 3 years, just to be able to have that opportunity to be able to help our country while they're, making the ultimate sacrifice. I think, and I love what you say here. And this is why I wanted to have you on. You said, I'm asking you to take a second look at military spouses when hiring.
Yeah. It's, the millennial demographic has really shifted the workforce. So I feel like that short timer fear shouldn't be as big of an issue now as it was 10 years ago. It seems like nobody stays in jobs more than 3 years anymore.
Right, exactly.
I've been doing this for 6 years now, but I'm the boss. So it makes it a little bit easier when you only have to answer to yourself. But if you are properly investing in your employees, that relationship can still bring value to you down the road, even if they leave. And with our current remote environment, which I'd like to say I was a genius and saw COVID coming, and this is why we shifted to remote work. That's not the case. But now, after COVID, remote work is going to become more of the norm.
Right.
So now there is no reason why you cannot have a military spouse, especially if they're in the continental US, working from wherever they are in many industries. This is not true of all. Obviously, Subway still needs people actually at the counter. But if you are a service-based business and you need somebody doing your marketing, or if you need somebody doing customer calls, there's no reason why they can't do that from wherever they happen to be stationed at the time.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I think that risk is definitely diminished in today's economy versus what it was 10 years ago.
Yeah. And I agree 100%. And a lot of people don't realize millennials, top half of them is 30, 35, so it's actually, we always think of them as being, in their early 20s, but time moves on and they've grown. And I would imagine the average age of a military spouse would probably be 25, 30?
I think it skews between 25 and 35. I'm not 100% sure on that.
So whenever because you have these 4 basic programs that a military spouse could look at, when these programs, how do they reduce the risk to the business owner? So in addition to how we recruit being different than most of your traditional agencies, we also price things a little bit differently. So I took the gig economy concept where you're paying by the hour for different services and brought that into the agency model. So when you go to a traditional marketing agency, especially an established agency, they give you service packages. So social media content is $1,200 a month and SEO is $1,500 a month or what have you. And it's the same for every single client. And they just box you into those service things.
We do things a little bit differently. So what we'll do is we'll give the prospective client a questionnaire to get to know their business a little bit more. We'll meet with them via Zoom right now because everything is remote. Get to know them, get to know their business, because personality is everything when dealing with a new marketing person. And then we take that information along with their revenue goals and match them with one of our professionals from the military spouse community. Once they have met and everything is going well, we discuss a plan moving forward. This is where things get a little bit different. We will decide, usually in phases, what tasks they need done month to month. And then we only bill them based on the hours that they're working. So you can have if you need somebody to help out with writing the social media content and then doing your email newsletter, but you have somebody doing your blog and your SEO, we can do that. You don't have to be all or nothing with us. And if you decide you want to make a website later on in the year and you need a few more hours to write website content, we can add that in. So you're only paying for the hours that are required to accomplish the tasks that you need every single month. And then we don't have you on contracts like most agencies do, where it's like, hey, you have to be on for 6 months at $6,000 a month. And then if you want out, too bad. We don't do that. It's a month-to-month type of thing. You can purchase more hours. You can purchase fewer hours, kind of like you would with a standard virtual assistant. Right. We just focus on the marketing side. And then it really depends on what level of experience you're looking for in your business as far as where that hourly price goes. But you get an itemized breakdown every single month. There's no wasted money. You still get all of the fancy reports and the nice consultations and that agency feel without the fluffed up pricing.
And you get to help military families out.
Yes.
So let's make it real practical. Here locally, we have Kirkland Air Force Base. And so I'm a dentist and I own 2 clinics, and I'm really, I really want to get my name out there and build my organic traffic. And so I'm working on SEO, and I want to do, my email blasts to my existing people. So that's how it would work. You would be able to say, you would have, you would meet with the potential client, and then you would introduce this person to them, or would that person just directly contact them? How would that work?
We bring them on as a team. So every single marketing professional is our employee, and then they're placed in your business. So you're paying us, we're paying them. But the benefit of that is that in addition to your marketing professional, you also have our operations manager and a quality control professional who is always monitoring the account. So you'll be working directly with your marketing professional that's paired with you, but you'll also have every quarter or so we pop in and we make sure that everything is going the way that it's supposed to be with the team as a whole. And then if there's ever anything that your dedicated marketing professional does not know how to do, he or she can bring in another member of the team to come in and help out with whatever that project is. So we have a whole roster of marketers that you can pick and choose from at any given time.
Oh, this is amazing. I think this is, because like before off air, we were talking about that, everybody tries to use Fiverr or Upwork or something like that. But this is the ability to be able to talk to someone directly, have someone now, can you pinpoint locally, or does it matter? Can I have somebody that I work with in Georgia, at Fort Benning, but, I'm here at Kirkland Air Force Base, I'm near, or do you match up people where they actually physically go into the business, or how does that work?
Typically, because due to the nature of military life, even if we found you somebody locally on our roster, they might have to change duty stations in the next 2 years. But if you prefer to have somebody who has local area experience, we can recruit for that. No additional charge. If we don't have them on their roster, we'll go find them through our network and bring them through. Military spouses come from all different walks of life, all across the country. So we can definitely find somebody to work with your business. If we can't, we do have other agency partners and can help you out there.
Yeah. And I don't think, we all use, different, like you said, cookie cutter digital marketing agencies anyway. So and a lot of them aren't local per se. So I don't think that really matters either way. Now, like as far as, because you got into, and every business owner's thinking about this, like cost, is it, because I know, it's $19.95 for local SEO a month or whatever, or maybe somebody's paying for some package that's, $1,095 or whatever. Is it cost effective compared to doing that? Or, what's the difference in cost?
It depends on what you're doing now. Usually we tend to come in a little bit lower than what you would expect from a service profession or a more traditional agency, because you have one person who gets paid the same rate doing everything. With an agency, you have an account rep who then brings in their creatives, like the SEO guy and the web design guy and the graphic designer in, and each of them get paid something different.
Right.
So the agency owner has to price everything a little bit differently. You have the one dedicated marketer that's paid the same across the board, so everything remains completely consistent, which does help us keep that cost down for the business owner, and make it a little bit more palatable. If we do have a business owner who is struggling with a marketing budget and is open to an intern situation, we do always have our interns and our less experienced marketers that will pull in, and you'll pay the intern price, which is our lowest level, and still get either our operations manager or myself or one of our other intern mentors working on your account with them to help them build that up. So we do have different pricing tiers to fit any budget.
That's awesome. So even if, even if you can't afford the, $1,500 a month or whatever, there's this option to be able to have a military spouse that's maybe learning from you guys. Now, do you guys have programs where you bring military spouses in and you teach them digital marketing?
Yeah. So the internship program is great for that. We do have our marketing assistant program, which does the same kind of thing. But if they have like a year or two, we've got a couple that one of them was marketing for a year for a hospital, really enjoyed marketing and wanted to get more into it. But she was so used to the corporate hospital platform that I had to kind of take what she knew and break it down a little bit. So we really work with military spouses that have any level of experience and then train them based on where they're at and where they want to go in the future.
Yeah, so that you're making sure that everything, no matter where they're at in the United States or overseas, that everything is flowing through you guys. Like you said, there's accountability and all that. So you're not just putting someone with someone, this dentist for say, let's use, you're not just say, here you go, here's a military spouse. We did some training with them for digital marketing. You guys have a great time. You're actually going through and checking through the account. There's accountability there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big thing that separates us from going and getting a marketer off of like Fiverr or Upwork or something like that, is that we have our set base training level that has, the Facebook blueprint certifications, Google ad certifications, all of the normal stuff that you would expect. And then we do the ongoing training. A lot of them, we send them to things like Social Media Week. We'll send them to South by Southwest when that decides to open again. And the Social Media Marketing Summit, things like that come out that have more cutting edge information, because the digital marketing world changes so rapidly. I've been doing this for almost 20 years and I learn something every 6 weeks. If you're not learning that often, you're, already behind.
Right.
So we make sure that they get access to the latest opportunities for marketing business that they could possibly receive.
And whether somebody wanted to do Instagram stories, Snapchat ads, or like you said, Google ads or Bing ads or whatever, you have people that are specifically tailored to be able to help them out in each of those areas.
Yes.
Perfect. That's awesome. I really love, like when you thought of, so, I mean, you're the founder and you started all this.
Yep.
How did, kind of, maybe not, I won't get too personal, but like, I know you saw this need and because it's just amazing to me, because you started a business basically out of scratch and you're taking something that it's so needed to be able to, I mean, it must feel good every day when you wake up and know that what you're doing is helping, our country.
It does feel good. It's a lot of pressure because you have a lot of military spouses that have been looking for something like this for so long. Like I said, there's a lot of job boards out there for military spouses and veterans, but they don't want the job boards. They don't want the career training. They don't want that. They want the job.
Right.
To be able to go out there and say, yeah, if you come on with us and you go through this training, we're going to find you a business that's going to work for you. And then help that business owner do well. So it's a lot of pressure. I'm not going to lie, but I think any business is. But I just, the need was there, and that's just kind of how I view the world. And I decided to just go for it.
Yeah.
I wish there was something deeper than that, but that's really what it was.
But you're giving families hope. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, where else can someone be at home on a laptop watching a 2-year-old and then at the same time be able to be flexible enough to help a company out? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, they would, like you said, it's like, okay, you're home, you're tired, you just got back from, on base. Now it's, 5 o'clock, and I know you got to get up at 5 a.m. and do PT, but I got to go to Subway and I got to go make sandwiches to, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I'm going to get a couple $100 for the week, where you're offering this opportunity, for someone, if they're humble and they're open and they can be, there's some flexibility there and everything else, where this wife or husband or partner, whatever it may be, spouse, can sit there and be able to do this, in the comfort of their home and not be worried what's going to happen in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, I think that as remote work becomes more of the norm and we kind of settle into whatever this is going to look like.
Right.
I think that the opportunities for military spouses and veterans, even in their last 2 years of service, it's going to expand. I think we jumped the gun a little bit on that, and I'm okay with that.
No, you always want to be in the very beginning.
Yeah. There are a few companies out there that are similar to ours. Instant Teams is one of them. Freedom Makers is another one that do similar things, where they place like generalists, general VAs and that sort of thing. Accountants, some of the other more operational administrative type tasks. So there are other businesses like ours that do something similar. We're the only one that really just niches down into that marketing sphere.
No, I love that, because it kind of, there's a mission and a purpose, but the digital marketing aspect of this allows them to be able to do this no matter whether they're stationed in Germany or whether they're stationed in, Idaho. It doesn't matter where they're at, as long as they're able to, effectively communicate with the client and fulfill those needs. It's, I just think it's an amazing, I'm just really excited that you were able to take something that has such a need and then be able to turn around and not only grow your business, of course, but to be able to, I mean, you could literally be helping hundreds or even thousands of families, across the United States and across the world with this.
Yeah, it definitely, I mean, when I was doing it as a boutique agency and it was just me, yes, I got paid. Yes, I enjoy marketing, but I've really wanted to phase out my career into more of a mentoring role.
Right.
Once you've been in marketing for as long as I have, you start to, age out. And I say that as I'm only 34 and I'm already starting to age out. This is the way of the digital world.
Right. Yes.
So I really wanted to shift more towards mentoring. I'm personally gearing up to start hopefully earning my PhD and teach at the college level as well. So I wanted my business to follow that next stage of growth. And that is one of the benefits of being your own boss, is that you can kind of pivot yourself to make it feel more fulfilling than just earning a paycheck.
Yeah. And yeah, I think this is something that for sure is a huge benefit to the country. It's going to be a huge benefit. Like I said, I would just got off an interview with a doctor and a nurse practitioner, stuff like that. And they were talking, we're going to have COVID for at least a year. That's what the CDC and everybody else is talking about. And then we're going to have a big flu, spike around November and stuff like that. So this work at home is real. It's going to happen. It could be the wave of the future. And we're finding out people are enjoying it, and they're actually being able to get more work done, because they can take that break and go walk the dog and then come back and be on a Zoom call. And so, for all of our sanity and being able to slow down and have more of a peaceful life, it is, and you're giving in the opportunity, not just, but as a business leader, it must feel good, to be able to know that you're helping out our country by hiring somebody, to do your marketing. Because there's a lot of companies out there that, one may not be able to afford the $3, $4, $5 a month. But then at the same time, you have companies that are out there that are doing that, and they're outsourcing it to wherever or whoever, where you have the opportunity to do this at the same cost, or maybe even a little less, like you said, and be able to help someone that needs the most help. And that is someone that is taking care of someone that is willing to sacrifice their life for our country.
Yeah. And we have clients that range from, $200 a month to clients that range up to $3,000 or $4,000 per month. Like, it really, we run the gamut. And really any business that has that desire to support military families in that way, we will make it work. Because that's the key. In an ideal world, long-term vision, I would love to start losing employees because the business that they're working with has grown so much that they need to hire somebody full-time, and they want to hire that spouse or they want to hire that veteran. I will sign off on that so fast.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that they can get that full-time gig with one business and just grow with that business, and that business owner gets the reward of building a sustainable business themselves and contributing to the economy of being an employer. So in a perfect world, that's the direction we're going.
Now, do you have, and I imagine you're pretty flexible with all this, but because I have business owners, when I talk to them all the time, they're always like, I have these two receptionists and I have this person that's kind of more digitally marketing inclined. Do you have like project managers that would assist and kind of give direction if they do have employees? Like I have a really good friend of mine. He hired somebody full-time marketing, but that person's like, I'm making mistakes on the company's dime. I wish I would have had a mentor or somebody that could come, by me and just go over my Google ads or look at my Facebook ads, or, I may be testing things and I don't understand, why is the cost per click double from this ad set? You know what I mean? So do you guys have that, like where you could hire a project manager or something?
Yeah, our more experienced marketers, if you're looking for something like that, they can take on as little or as much as you need to. If you need somebody just to be oversight and general strategy, they can do that. We also have some that will go into your business and train your marketing team, create a custom curriculum just for your business based on your goals and everything that you want to do, and then teach your people how to do it and create a documented procedure guide that you can keep in your office and edit for yourself as you start to grow forward. So we can do it either way.
Yeah, I was talking to an owner, a doctor of a clinic, and right now, for some reason, plastic surgery and, all these things, I don't know what they call when they put stuff in your lips and all that stuff. I don't do any of that stuff, so I don't know, but they're like going through the roof. It's like hundreds of percent. And he had 3 receptionists. Now he has 5 receptionists. But he's like, I have the money, I have the ability, and I want to bring somebody on internally. And I'm hearing this a lot where business owners are saying they want to have a digital marketer because they understand the importance of the posting and doing the videos on site and doing, having a client testimony right then and there, with the phone. If something fun happens, a birthday party or something, being able to record that, really fast and throw it on an Instagram story. So it's just this idea of making sure that person is on task and staying. So I think, instead of being able, maybe even having to hire somebody full-time, you have the ability to be able to bring this military spouse in that's experienced, like you said, a veteran, and then to kind of guide and oversee and make sure, these accounts and everything are going right. So, because you know as well as I do, you can waste $1,000 on Google Ads in a day.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. And the other thing too is, having that second set of eyes, that experienced set of eyes, look at your posts before you send them out has never been more important, especially as we're in the middle of cancel culture having a moment here.
Yes.
And a lot of times people just don't think. They don't think before they publish anything. They don't think about anything from the perspective of this happened, so we thought this would be good, or we thought this joke would be funny because of this, that, or the other. Right. Having somebody with a PR background look at that and go, do you really want to say that? Or do you really want to post this? If this happens, this is what you're opening yourself up for, is that added level of insurance for your business, which is invaluable right now.
Yes, I've seen that over and over again. I won't say what it was, but there was somebody that thought it would be funny here in Albuquerque to put something, it was horrific, the statement, but obviously it had to deal with racism and all that. And at a car dealership, a big one. And they put it up on the digital sign, and whoever it was that decided to do that, it was offensive, so it's really important. I've seen employees who think that the Facebook becomes theirs, and then they have causes, and then they decide to, next thing you know, if you don't check it, now they're resharing and reposting things that may not necessarily, be in line with your clients.
Yeah. And the other side of that too is for the military spouse and the veteran side is if we come across a business owner who has a toxic environment in their business, we have the ability to step in and protect that military spouse or that veteran from having to deal with them. Whereas if they were operating as a freelancer, they wouldn't have that extra added security. So we're able to kind of protect both parties here and make sure that this is a very helpful and healthy environment.
I love that. That is so awesome. It's just exciting, Erika, that you do that company. And I know we're getting close on time, but I wanted to kind of get into a little bit and kind of tap your brain on some things that you're seeing in the marketing side with COVID. And I know everybody's kind of going lean but everybody's home now. We're more on our phones than we've ever been. We're more on, streaming sites and stuff like that. What are some of the things that you're seeing effective, just to kind of throw out some value right now? What are some of the things that you're seeing effective with all your years and years of experience on the digital marketing side, with COVID?
So one of the things that it's kind of been coming, and COVID made it way worse. Facebook, Instagram, a lot of your digital content it's an extremely saturated market right now.
Right.
That does not mean you should not post. But if you are thinking, okay, I'm a business owner, I own a retail store, and all of a sudden, all I can do is sell online, and you're just now jumping into social media, you're 2 years late. So that doesn't mean you can't do anything about it. That does mean that just making the assumption that, well, everybody is on social media selling, that may not work for you. You have to be able to think outside the box. With COVID, I like the phrase, pivot over panic. Get out of the box, get out of the traditional, okay, well, these are my only options for marketing, and then go from there. Right now, if it's not bringing you revenue, or if at least one of your marketing efforts is not bringing you direct revenue, like you can track it, and if your marketer is not telling you how to track it, we need to have a conversation. Right. But you shouldn't be wasting a whole lot of time on that. I still believe that social media content and all of that is still valuable. That's a long-term game. With COVID, you have to think on those short-term revenue goals. If you're not meeting your just base need on a month-to-month basis, you could write social media content until you're blue in the face. It's not going to sell.
Right.
That direct person-to-person contact, that word of mouth is still the most valuable marketing you can have, especially if you're a service-based business. If you are a bigger e-commerce company where you're selling sneakers, something like that, it's a little bit easier to do ads and convert sales quickly. Most businesses do not have that kind of structure. So if you're an attorney's office or a smaller boutique store or, your local tradesman, plumbing or what have you, focusing on either a Google ad campaign that's going to convert sales quickly, or you can test out Facebook ads would be more valuable than probably Facebook content right now. Or something of that nature will be more valuable to you, but you need to be able to confirm that you're bringing in revenue with something that you're doing. And then everything else can support that, but you need to have at least one area where you're focusing the majority of your attention that brings you money now. And that might not be in the digital space. That may be sitting there on the phone and having your receptionist cold call people for hours at a time. It really depends on your business, but make sure that it's bringing you revenue right now, and then focus a little bit less, but just kind of keep it on the back burner for your social media content and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and you're so right about that. And one of the things that I always, before you are work with, whether they want to, and I encourage everybody, they can go on here and work with you guys, but make sure your systems are in place, to handle, if all of a sudden Google Ads is bringing you 20, 30 extra phone calls a day, how are those phone calls getting handled? If all of a sudden they're generating leads from your website, where's that lead going and how long is it taking for you to handle it? I always see that and then, the business owner says, well, I didn't receive an ROI on this. And then you look and the system's broken down, the pipe. You've generated all this traffic, to their website, or maybe, there's lead generation, Facebook ads, or whatever it may be, with the coupons and stuff like that. And then you find out later that no one's even paying attention to any of it. So, as a business owner, it's so essential that you go from the very beginning, okay, this is what we're going to happen. And then who's handling that process? I've seen that. I saw a business owner, they had a Gmail that they had made for marketing. And then there was over 100 leads sitting in there that had never been opened because no one knew what to do with them. So, and these are people that you paid a lot of money for to have them, and they're actually interested in your profit. And then nothing happened to them, So what are some of the other things that you're seeing, that successful businesses, when they're pivoting, I love that, what you said, pivot over panic, that are pivoting, that are being successful?
I think that guerrilla marketing is making a comeback. I mean, it's always kind of been there, but I think more small businesses are taking advantage of it. And what I mean by that, guerrilla marketing is the practice of keeping your budget fairly low, but coming up with a unique way to make a big, quick splash, right? So a great example of this is from a company that's a lot bigger now, is the Dollar Shave Club, right? When they first started out, right now, I mean, they just sold to Unilever for what, $1 billion? They're no longer a small company, but they started out with a YouTube video campaign. And he literally walked around his warehouse and made a really funny video and dropped a few swear words and just kind of laid it out there in a humorous way. And the video ended up with, I think, 24 million hits in like the first year. But everything that they did was grassroots. Warby Parker is another one that did something similar, where they wanted to get in. They didn't have a budget. When they launched, they wanted to do something at New York Fashion Week. They do the reading glasses, correct? They couldn't afford to get into New York Fashion Week. So they staged a PR stunt where they had 30 different models all wearing Warby Parker and reading the same book, took them out to the New York Public Library and the reading room, and brought in 40 different newspaper editors to take pictures of this staged model session, and made a whole big stink about it. And then again, this is another company that has become a multi-million-dollar company in, gosh, that was 2013. So less than 7 years. And they're still doing that grassroots marketing. You don't see a lot of traditional advertising for them. A good comparison for a smaller company, obviously if you're not a Warby Parker or somebody looking for venture capital, if you're a mom and pop shop out in Main Street, USA, if you are hosting an event or you are hosting a sale or something on your product or services, getting with your local community and setting something up like a statue or an art piece or some kind of unique, what is it, installation that's big and noticeable that people have to drive by, and then drop a PR campaign with your local news station saying this is what this is. The point is to get people asking, what is this? You're reaching them where they are. It makes a splash. It grabs their attention. It stops them from clicking that skip ad button that every marketer hates. It makes them think. And then when they find out what it is, your brand is now associated with that, and you've got their attention. The value of social media after doing something like that or a PR stunt like that is that you want to take them from this is interesting, to actually making that phone call. So if you're consistent with your content, if you're doing that back burner stuff that keeps your brand consistent, in addition to something big like a Google ad or a guerrilla campaign or something of that nature, having that well-established brand presence is going to help you turn that person into a sale before they've ever picked up that phone to call you.
And is that something that, do you guys do you have people that can help them? It's because as a business owner, you're always looking at it as kind of, how am I going to be creative? How would I do that? I don't have, the means and stuff like that, in like, for instance, like that sounds so great, but do you guys do you help people with guerrilla marketing at all, or?
We do. We actually, we're working on a campaign, and we've done this for a couple different nonprofits where we work out with the local gym in the area who wants to help whatever cause the nonprofit is working with. And to get them both the publicity, we host an event where, you drop a donation instead of paying the fee for the class, and then you gain awareness for whatever the nonprofit is while the gym is getting more foot traffic. And then we run PR campaigns after that, because news outlets are a whole lot more likely to pick up your press release about your business if you're doing something for the community. So we have connections across the country where we can pair you up with the businesses that are going to work best with you to help you create something that's going to get that kind of attention.
And then after the attentions happen, you guys can take that and then run ads with it and everything else for them.
Yep. You don't want to do a guerrilla marketing campaign without a plan after the fact. Because it's a lot of effort to get it off the ground. It's less money, but it's more time and creativity. So you want to make sure that you're getting the longevity out of doing something like that. And we can help with that.
A lot of people don't think of that, but it's so important right now just to grab people's attention. And that's something that, with guerrilla marketing and like you said, making sure, you're not just posting, but running Facebook ads. I want to make sure, because we're over time here, and I want to make sure that people can partner with you. That they're able to know clearly how that they can, if they want to hire a military spouse and they need digital marketing, what is the best way to get a hold of your company or to apply for this or find out more information?
The best way is to go to our website. It's www.smallbusinessmarketingstudio.com. We have all of the information for our various programs and opportunities for business owners to partner with us either as a client or as a referral partner. Depending on where you are in your stage of business. But yeah, you can get all the information and all of our contact info on the website.
And that's smallbusinessmarketingstudio.com.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Erika. I really love this. I'm excited. I hope your business grows huge and that there's just so many military families that you're helping and giving them hope, especially in these times. It's stressful enough, and I know you as being a military spouse, being away and the deployments and everything else, but to not have to worry about finances, I think that, it's literally saving marriages, and I'm just super excited about it. I encourage everyone to go to smallbusinessmarketingstudio.com. And I thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share. And go to avqpodcast.com. Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.